This episode is brought to you by SMZ, your independent go-to partner in all matters relating to finance, insurance, real estate, tax and law for both private and corporate clients. To find out more, go to smz.ch. SMZ, tailor-made, holistic for you.
Out of it, you try to bring the user deeper into the platform. So maybe you have new functionalities, you can promote them and get more data out of it or out of these users. So more users, more functionality, more data, more touch points. That's the network effect.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating. And now, here's your host, Sylvan.
Stefan, a very well welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. It's a pleasure to have you as a guest today.
Thank you. Great to be here today. Thank you.
You're the co-founder and former CEO of the PropTech startup Houzy. We're going to talk about that in a second. You originally studied to be a gym teacher. Then you decided to also study business administration. Were you a bit undecided between the two options or the two paths, or how do you make your career choices?
Yeah, maybe I wanted to become a doctor or to study medicine. So I had Latin from 14 years old, and then going to the 20s. Then of course I saw my sport career is not so the study to medicine is not the right way. So then of course I was open, and my father is teacher, was sport teacher. Yeah. So on one side, and on the other side, mother's side, there is a more entrepreneurial family approach. So therefore maybe then I changed 2 years later, yes.
So a bit the influence of both parents to follow in their footsteps, so to speak.
Exactly.
Then you actually chose real estate as an industry to become active. When did that interest in real estate start?
It was not a kind of choosing that. It was coming into the scout group. The beginning as a project leader for to build up the advertising platform for the whole scout scout ecosystem is Auto Scout, Job Scout, and Immo Scout. Yep. And out of that, I was appointed to become the CEO of Immo Scout, and that was the kind of path or the step into the real estate industry.
Yeah. And what do you like about it? I mean, you didn't choose it. The industry sort of chose you. You then decided to stick around in the same industry. So you must have liked at least something.
Yes and no, because it's maybe not the industry. It's the platform business. Yep. It's the data out of that. So when we started with advertising, it's data driven. And out of that, I was very much, interested and motivated to build up and to build up and develop the platform further. So Immo Scout was then the real estate part. Maybe if they would have asked me the Auto Scout or Job Scout, I would be now a more auto expert now. Yeah. Yes.
Industry agnostic because you like the platform business.
Exactly.
And before you started Houzy in 2017, you already also were involved in the neuportal. Were they sort of going hand in hand a bit, or how did neuportal then also lead to Houzy eventually?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very small niche. And yes, I had the opportunity to buy one little platform. It was erstbezug.ch, and then I made a merger with the other one, small platform, Neubauprojekte. So we were two friends to build that up, but that was not just on one side. And the other side, I was the first business angel of Movu. So that platform as well, we developed. I was in the board and had a great team there, operational team and board team. So it was the same. It's platform, it's data, and out of it, you then have new business.
Laurent from Movu is a regular guest on our podcast, so almost a resident, so to speak. Of course. And then in 2017, you actually started Houzy together with Marco Kobelt. First of all, how did the two of you meet? Were you already working together before?
Yeah, it was two other guys at the beginning, or three at least, and one was he was working as a consultant broker in the AWD. Today it's Swiss Life Select when they came to Switzerland, and he mentioned that we should know everything around a house. Mm-hmm. So if you're a house owner, property owner, and he's coming from the analog world and me from the digital. So then out of it, I created the vision to, if you can get all the data 360 degrees around a homeowner with his home and the property, then of course you have a lot of touch points to then have or find business partners which are buying or at least getting the lead or by paying for the lead to make its business out of it. Yes.
Got it. And when you started out with Houzy initially, today it's a very comprehensive solution, but what was your initial focus back in 2017? How did you start?
Yeah, we started very poor kind of, and we had a big fight to find the path how we can collect the data, meaning having users signing into the platform. So we started with one little business case and Houzy check. So we tried to get data for find out what's the renovation potential of a house. So they could give us the data for maybe what they have to do, how old the house is, everything like that. And it was very hard. And then Marcus stepped in. So he was kind of the great guy who then developed the platform into really user acquisition platform with high numbers of new users per month. So that was then his big job he has done. Yes.
What was sort of the user acquisition model in that sense? Because you can have many different sources, and that's one of the key things you need to solve as a platform to get users on it.
Yeah, then it's kind of same
chicken and egg problem.
And chicken and egg problems. So you need a lot of functionality, and out of that you have a lot of keywords. So out of that you have a lot of potential users on the Google funnel and to collect them, and that was kind of chicken and egg. You have to make it very clever, not to spend too much money on developing too complex tools. So always to have the right way, and that's really he did with the CTO today. He was CEO Florian Rüegg. They did a great job at that time. Yes.
And if I imagine this, Google, you can do multiple things, right? You can focus on search engine optimization, SEO, where you work with content and the keywords, but you can also buy specific keywords and bid to then have your advertising when people search for certain terms. Did you use both techniques, or did one work better for you than the other?
No, we had to, of course, you have to pay for each keyword and have the functionality behind it. So you have to have the conversion flow that the user's coming in through a keyword and then, that's a nice functionality. So I sign into the platform, and then of course, the more content you have, you can create better SEO and of course, then you have on both sides the potential to grow.
That's a good learning, because I think many try to start with SEO in the beginning from the get-go, but that can take so much time. Absolutely. So you pay first and then you optimize later as you grow with SEO.
Yes.
And you start to own. Exactly. You start to own the user relationship in that sense.
Exactly.
What was the first very, basic offering that you acquired users with? Was it just, you mentioned the renovation potential?
It was the renovation, Houzy check. And then, of course, we went into a kind of innovation idea that we had the valuation thing, but more, which is now common. We developed it first, so that you have every 3 months, you have an update. When I mentioned first the guys, hey, come on, let's do every 3 months, we send out a revaluation of the homeowner. Then they said, no, nobody wants to know that the house is now 20,000, has more value than 20,000. Everybody lives in the house, so he doesn't want to know it. And I said, no, that's interesting because it's your house.
Of course.
Even though you don't want to sell it. Yeah. It's interesting. And
it will make me feel good for sure.
Exactly. Of course, if it's going up, it's a good feeling. If it's going down, other way around. But it's at least it interests. So it gives you brand recognition, and out of it you try to bring the user deeper into the platform. So maybe you have new functionalities. You can promote them and get more data out of it, or out of these users. So more users, more functionality, more data, more touch points.
Exactly.
That's the network effect. And yes.
That's so fascinating.
It is, yes.
At the same time, you also need a business model in place, right? Because just getting users or even paying for users doesn't pay your bills. They also need to spend money, or you need to get paid. What different revenue streams did you build up over time to make that happen?
Yeah, of course. Then you try to find the revenue streams and find partners which are paying for this kind of qualified leads. And of course, that's now the harder way then. So the conversion not only into leads, but then also leads to business, real business. So that was then the harder way to get it, finally into black figures. So it's not anymore there, as I heard. So it's therefore it's you need a huge number of users, huge number of data. It takes time. But of course, on the other side, if you can get out of the universe for 10, 15 Swiss francs in new users, and you have the huge value creation out of the lifetime of a property, over 10, 20 years, you have huge amount of money going through the kind of renovation and mortgage refinancing, all that stuff, insurance issues. So now the question is how to get one user for 15 francs in and make from 10 or 20 or 100 users enough money to refinance the acquisition costs.
Of course, because I imagine the conversion rate of users really, leading to significant revenue, that's probably pretty low, because you offered the service for free to lure the customers in at first. Who were your partners? Was it traditional, like the bank that wanted to sell a mortgage, maybe insurance companies offering you life and even house insurances?
Yes, first we started on the craftsman side, because there we saw the easiest potential, and it was like that. And we had kind of good model that they pre-finance a certain number of leads, or at least the listing they had to pay. So we had per region just three craftsmen per branch, per segment.
Nice.
So they paid a kind of exclusive listing, and out of that we had a certain fixed income, and then of course we had to deliver the leads, the qualified leads. So that's part of was the starting point.
So it was a bit of a mix between an advertising business, so to speak, but also a performance-based fee that if you brought them business, you got a cut off the business that you brought to them.
Not directly. I mean, just yes, but they were hoping to get the business.
So they paid you per lead, not per successful transaction.
First they paid per listing. Now today on the makler side, on the agent side, they pay per lead. Yes,
I see. And Switzerland per se is a very small market. And especially for platforms, you mentioned you need high volumes, and then also high willingness to pay, that you need not only high volumes, but also high quality. Is Switzerland big enough to pull off these platforms?
That's exactly the big problem. If you would have had the same idea in Germany, at least 10 times more potential, maybe the craftsman wouldn't pay the same money for being listed. That's another side, because we were looking for expansion to Germany. So of course we have a much higher potential. I mean, it's the same like in B2B business with software. It's also you have to look really into the market, how you can refinance your business plan or your business case.
How do you do that? Because I'm sure that sometimes Google just changes the algorithms and suddenly your acquisition channels stopped working the same way that they did before, or at least not with the same volumes. Did you ever feel a pain that Switzerland was really too small of a market for you?
It was not on the user side. It was more than on the conversion side into different paths to partners, and the conversion on the partners. And there we learned a lot, because to bring a mortgage lead out of the platform is not that difficult. But then to have the partner like we had. I mean, it's generally just the kind of Chinese wall and giving data back. So you send users to the bank and you get no information back what happens with the user. You cannot learn, you cannot improve the right way. So that we underestimated, or we overestimated the potential out of this conversion.
And that's also very difficult, I assume, because then that's sort of not your job anymore, right? You go to the bank and the bank has to deliver, but maybe their process is flawed and they don't deliver a great experience. And then they blame you because they say, hey, you give us leads and they don't convert.
Yeah, it's not blame, but it's then the reality. Just to see that on one hand, you have a very, very agile startup who could change the conversion path within days or at least weeks. To innovate, to develop, to learn. And on the other side, you have a very huge corporate, or slow processes, other culture of people, and that's a little bit learning where you go through. Yes.
But what helped you to improve that conversion rate? Did you do any follow-ups or any other tactics that help you to increase the conversion rate after they were marked as a lead?
I mean, now then maybe I went to the board of directors and stepped out of the operational daily job when we had that cooperation with UBS on the operative level and all that. So therefore, I'm not really the right person to exactly answer that question. Yes.
Fair, but the team tried to do the best.
No, and yes, they improved very much. Otherwise UBS wouldn't have now taken the whole together with Baloise the whole stake. Yes,
I want to talk about that exit, the sale in a second. Before that, trust is also a very important part. Like I see an advertising of you, then I give you sort of valuable data about my house or my financial situation. So you also need to build trust as a brand. We see a lot of advertising about getting rich fast or whatever schemes on the internet or on YouTube especially. How did you build trust with the potential customers that you acquired? Was that a challenge or was that easier than you thought?
No, I think kind of a formula for success is team one. So you team one with the knowledge and the skills to build up the platform. You see it on the website. Then maybe team two is kind of smart money investors, which also a CV and a lot of knowledge as well. And then, of course, the technology with the right products, with the right products out of it. So when I come into the platform with a keyword, it's of course it's the brand and it's the UX and all that. It's maybe I go to check the trust elements from out of the teams, and then of course I check the tool.
Of course.
And of course, if the tool gets me the value back and I don't have to pay, maybe I pay with the data. So. Yeah. And then you see you're not penetrated by calls or penetrated by emails every day. So you have to find the right mixture between getting data and pushing them maybe into the next step or level of the platform.
And it probably helps that you understand the Swiss culture in that sense, because I imagine a German platform coming here with maybe more aggressive sales tactics just to serve the stereotypes.
Absolutely.
That would probably be counterproductive.
Absolutely. Right? Yes, definitely. And the same, of course, on the B2B side as well. Yes, with the craftsman. Yes.
And you did a very good job, because then UBS and Baloise eventually acquired your platform Houzy. Was an exit always something that you wanted to achieve eventually?
Yeah, of course. When you start up, it's of course one way, at least in my age anyway. So no, but of course, first we have to be honest. It was first was an investment stake, and then we came into the situation that was in 22 to get again an investment amount. And then, of course, it was the situation that, the interest rates up, the venture market down. So we came to a point that it was hard to find new business angels or private equity money. And out of that, then there was the move that the two big strategic shareholders took over the majority. So then we were deciding or defining a process to kind of, yes, to sell everything within 1, 2, 3 years, yes.
Did they take over the majority in that transaction because of an additional investment and just the terms that got renegotiated, or did they take over the majority because they said, no, now it makes sense because we want to actually acquire you?
Yeah, of course, it made sense because they wanted or they communicated to build together an ecosystem in this real estate, or yes, and yes, private real estate industry. Yep. Therefore, yes, it made sense. And of course, we were the leading platform. We had 2, 3 years. We were in advance, and we were proud that we had 2, 3, 4 copycats from other insurance companies. And therefore, of course, we were number one with all our ideas, with a very good team, which was really, yes, sticking together, working hard, and have a very agile, very high speed in developing new ideas. And therefore, yes, they acquired a number one platform.
Amazing. And you said you had them as investors before. How did that happen? Did you approach them before to become an investor, or did they approach you and said, hey, our competitors are active in that space, we want to invest in the leading platform?
No, we had first the business angels financing everything, and it was a kind of clear and I mean the same with Movu and Baloise. So exactly. Which of the big players in the fintech or insurtech industry are maybe interested in this business, and then we approached them, and there was the right person, and that's now the fourth T. I mean, team 1, team 2, technology and timing. Yeah. So of course, that part of the game or of the Houzy success story was that the right person on the UBS side at that moment with the right strategy at that moment was kind of wanted to bring it further with Houzy and wanted to invest. And it was starting in COVID. It was in June. Second quarter 2020, yes.
Not an easy time to make these decisions, right?
Exactly.
And luckily your track record also with Movu and the exit to Baloise there was certainly helping.
Then it was helping that there were connections with Baloise, of course, also with Laurent, you mentioned it. He was then still on the Movu side, CEO or board, I don't know, I don't remember, yes. So therefore, yes, it was helping, and that's another thing. That's the good thing in Switzerland. You have close connections, you know each other, or at least you have the network to get open doors, or to at least have an open ear to. Yes. Yeah.
As with the disadvantage of being a too small market, that is a big advantage in that sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned the different cultures between larger corporates that you partnered up with, but you also had as investors now with UBS and Baloise, and the speed and the adaptability of a startup. Having these two large corporates as investors, was that a huge advantage for you because of the trust, the credibility, of course, the financial resources? Or was it sometimes also difficult because they were moving at a different speed than you as a startup?
It was more difficult, yes, than kind of helpful at that moment, because of course you have your approach with another culture. You handed over data, you do not get data back, so it's not kind of we would do between our two startups, exactly. You know. Yeah. It's more legal things, and therefore it's not speeding up. It's more kind of yes.
But I think that's a reality check for many.
Of course. And therefore it's a learning. Of course, if you can choose, find the right time. Yeah. Maybe you should not go too early to the corporates. So if you can finance it without that strategic money, then maybe you should prefer that way. Yeah. If not, you have to be aware of what's afterwards, because there is another culture. You can't change that. So you have to accept certain rules, regulations, governance, everything like that. And of course, it will not speed up your current agile way of developing things. Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. And at the same time, you had these two as investors. Did that also limit your potential exit possibilities? Because they would probably have wanted to avoid that you sell to a competitor of theirs.
That was exactly the second thing of having already in a minority stake strategic investors. And so then, of course, you have more problems. And what was maybe the other learning, so if you have a too high valuation already in the investment path with coming in a strategic investor with a minority stake, then maybe the next step you will not find in a small Swiss market private equity, because then the multiple is what they could see is not high enough. So that was a little bit another thing I would take as a learning out of the case.
So don't go for too high valuations, because it can limit your future capital access.
If you need more capital, normally you overestimate.
Of course, that's the positive mindset of
exactly.
entrepreneurs.
Yes, you have it. You have to do it, or you have to have it. Yes, this mindset. But of course, you should be maybe a little bit more cautious, or to be aware that maybe the next step you have to look at already. Yes.
Now take us back to the majority stake acquisition. How were the negotiations like? Was it very easy to say, hey, we have a clear method to define the valuation and the process, or did you have some tough negotiations?
Yeah, of course we had. Yes, we had, and one is the valuation. The other thing is the formula for the minority management team to move out over 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So you have to fix that at that moment. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So because doesn't want to be just an employee of your platform you build up, and you have some shares you never can sell it. So therefore, that was the other big part, to find the right formula.
I like that you have to define that when you make that deal, because otherwise you have no clear path, and that can also really lower your motivation.
Absolutely.
What was the methodology there, if you can share? How did you come up with a valuation? Because they wanted probably to incentivize you to grow further, but you also wanted to have a clear and a fair way out, basically.
Yeah, I think there we had not enough pressure or not enough strength to push through our idea. Yeah. We have to accept a formula which, yes, I addressed. It's in my opinion, it was not the right way, and but we had to accept that. And the result was that at least we had a certain valuation, a certain floor. So if
like a safety net,
kind of safety net out of it. So you're dealing with all the parameters to get a deal which is okay for everybody. Yes.
And then what did he use as a defining valuation driver? The revenue, the EBITDA, or something else?
Yeah. It was a mixture out of it, and finally, yes, what was not, in my opinion, not enough, or at least we couldn't calculate that, the value of such a user. Yeah. And the lifetime value, So they were much more looking, and that's a little bit the downside. They was more looking on the turnover, on these kind of things, and we should on the long-term value of having the data of a user and your data for all the touch points. So just wait 1, 2, 3, 5 years. He has to refinance his mortgage. He has to renovate. He has to
a lot of potential,
and that was not into that formula. Yeah. So that's a little bit was the downside of that deal.
So you sold too cheap in that sense.
Yeah, that's exactly that's the fourth T. That's timing. First, the timing was very good to have the right person with a huge bank behind, which decided to step in. And then maybe 2 years later, you have not the possibilities to choose the next financing tranche or step. And out of it, you had to accept a solution which was okay, but not the huge dream evaluation.
Fair. How much did you sell it for in the end?
Yeah, that's not to be.
Were you happy with the result, or were you more like it was okay, but it could have been better, or were you even unhappy?
No, not unhappy. I mean, it's when you start 7 years ago with just one page. Yeah, of course, it was like that. So my colleague had his idea from the analog way, and I made out of it kind of a first concept for Houzy. Mm-hmm. So it was great if you can then have 30, 35 employees and getting all the trust from business angels, from partners, from people believing into that team and seeing the development, all the learnings behind it. So I'm a person, and that's maybe my sport career side. It's I have to look forward. You lose a game, or then next game is coming. So it's the same. It's not losing. It was great experience. It's okay. The money, definitely, and all the friendship and all the learnings out of it, and therefore it's okay. Of course, when looking back, maybe there are 2-3 learnings. Maybe you would make other decisions or try other ways today. So for one thing is we had 120,000 users at that time, and users means with users. I mean with all the data, and we didn't try to make make a crowd investing. I mean, at least to try it. If you have 1, 2, 3% out of 100,000,
of course,
you have 1, 2, 3,000. If they give you each 500, 1,000 Swiss francs, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 million. So maybe you could bridge.
Yeah, and you see that often today, right? Many startups do that.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't try that, that we were too fast into discussions with and then of course the majority was changing, and then you're in the next step.
I also feel that when you as a founder lose the majority of the company, it's sort of not really your company anymore. Of course, you still have the history and all the hard work and the blood that you invested in it, but it's not your company anymore, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, if you have defined the way out and everything, but the other thing is then the formula.
Yeah.
And are you believing into that? And that was also then for me. Now it's a year ago, when I realized that UBS and Baloise are not building that strategic ecosystem the same way anymore, and they see Houzy in each strategy a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then, of course, my new mandate with Swiss Ice Hockey was coming up, so I had to decide: do I give my power and my spirit into a formula which maybe makes a little bit more money in the next 2, 3, 4 years, or say no, it's okay for the moment, step out and bring my energy into new things.
Yeah, and that's hard, right? Because for one hand, you built the whole company, you made it what it was. But then you lost maturity and you didn't agree on the strategic perspective. That can be very frustrating. So then it's usually best to focus your energy on something positive.
At least in my age,
I think at any age.
Of course, at any age, yes. Maybe you fight 2-3 years more when you're 30 than when you're already 50, over 50. 55,
you first have to learn it that it's not a fight that you can win probably.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. I know you cannot share the exact amount that you sold for, you said before, but your investors, did they make money out of the deal?
They did not make money, but they did not lose money.
Okay.
So that's at least because it was a little bit the power game when they came in.
Of course.
And we had to fight or to find a good solution for so at least they got the money back.
Yes. Which is also a good solution in the risk.
It was okay, yes.
And how did you celebrate this exit? Did you do anything special to celebrate, and also with the money that you personally made from it?
Yeah, because it was not an exit on one time. It was kind of majority, and then I was stepping out, and then now they had also a restructuring or a merge with Devi this year. So it was not that way. Of course, we had a lot of nice team events, but not that kind of exit party. Yes.
Yeah, that's also difficult, right? If you sell in multiple steps, you sort of lack this. Wow, now the big thing has been accomplished.
It was different with Movu, yes.
I imagine, yeah. There you probably let the bottles pop.
That was not the way, yes.
And after this success of the exit and finding a new owner and everything, you also joined Conreal Swiss, a digitizer of the Swiss construction industry. But that company didn't fully work out. I think it's in liquidation at the moment. Not everything can turn to an exit, obviously. What did you take away from it? Why did it not work as planned?
It was also a little bit this team one, starting team, okay. Then we had too much speed in hiring people, and maybe the wrong, not the wrong people means we went into this construction industry and the products out of it, and maybe today I would say we do not need people from that industry. I would not hire any more people from that industry. Yeah. I would hire people out of the industry with the right mindset, and then find the right people to give us the knowledge out of the industry, as consultants, as advisors. So that was one part. So we hired people with another culture out of the industry. We wanted to disrupt, kind of.
And that's difficult from within.
So to bring too many people out of kind of with another culture into that speed was one thing. We had not the speed enough on the culture side. And the other one, we had too much speed on building up the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So we spent too much money in parallel to build up the ecosystem. Yeah. Everything was up and running, okay. And then came, in the same way as Houzy, came 22 with interest and venture market down, or private equity down. And then, of course, we were stopped fully running. So today you should anticipate earlier what could happen. You should maybe slower, and the timing. I mean, also Movu timing was perfect. Of course, team perfect. Team 1, team 2, technology on timing. And if you have the 40s,
of course,
perfect, then you make it. And otherwise, could be more difficult.
Yeah, I think timing is so crucial. You cannot really influence it. You can only try to understand where you stand. But in the end, you can have the best team, the best technology. If the timing is off, it will not work.
Definitely. Timing to get money, timing that maybe the technology is developing or is converting into the audience or what else. But yes, timing is crucial, yeah.
And for you, personally also, this must have felt a bit like a setback. Hey, it didn't work out. Maybe you also lost some money that you invested in there. Definitely. How do you recover from that as an entrepreneur? Not say, hey, I give up now. This is not for me anymore. You've probably done it for too long.
I mean, that's either you are entrepreneur and then, of course, you have to stand up one time more than you fall. Yeah. And therefore, I think it has to be in your heart or in your mindset. And the other thing is, like I said, it's kind of athletes, sport, mindset. You anyway, yes, I grew up in that. I lived in that for 20 years. So losing is one side, and learning out of it is in every training. You learn something every day. You learn something and take it with you and make it better the next day or the next with the next project, or give it to young people and they do it, or you can advise them. So this kind of.
I like the analogy between sports and startups, because both usually work in smaller teams compared to a big corporate where you have a big team and way more complexity. What are sort of the parallels that you see from your professional sports career yourself that you can sort of transform over to the business world?
Yeah, there are a lot. It's maybe not generally business world. It's a lot. Maybe that's also the reason why I'm in the kind of startup world. Yeah. So, and maybe it's team sport and it's professional sport. Not only sport, it's professional sport. Because in professional sport, I'm not together with my friends and having fun.
Of course.
So every guy has to be at his or in his role and have to do the best in his role, and you have to play together and play the ball or the puck or whatever at the right moment. So, and in the digital world, it's the same. If the marketing guy, the technical guy, the communication guy, so they all have to work very close together and give the ball at the right moment to the other expert and with a high, ambitious goal. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. So the motivation is not to have fun. The motivation is to have success and then fun, because you.
I like it, because that's very different for many people.
Definitely. Yeah. So if I'm in a normal sport way, you have maybe fun. You go twice a week and have fun afterwards, a beer, your colleagues. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. professional sport, maybe not also all colleagues,
Sure.
but the right person with the right expertise and the right motivation and in the right role in your team. And then all of them want to have success.
And that sounds
That's
also
a common motivation kind of.
It also sounds very painful.
Yeah,
the
of
process.
course. Yeah, of course. But I would say in the good startups, if the founder team has to have the same or similar attitude.
Of course.
It's not an 8 to 5 job. You have to, it's not only friends. Maybe you become friends, but you need the best person the best has the best do the best job in his role, and then
success comes first.
Exactly.
In sports, that's pretty easy to define. You play in the league, you want to be number one, you want to become champion, or you want to win that specific tournament. How do you define success in business? Because that can be very broad. It can be a specific revenue goal. It can be getting acquired. You went through that. How do you define success in the startup or business world?
Yeah, I think therefore it's maybe similar with the startup and even more with the startup in the digital, because it's measurable very fast. Mm-hmm. In sport, it's measurable after each game, each session for a hockey player. So everything is measured today anyway with all the technique you have on your body and all that stuff. And in the digital startups, you have the same. So conversion funnel, you measure it, you achieve, you have a kind of idea, and then you have to try it and you learn. So this kind of fast learning cycles, that's very close. If you go into bigger corporates, it's different. Maybe you have a budget, maybe you have a 1-2 year. In startup, maybe you run out of money in 6, 12, 18 months, and you have to show traction 6 months before. So you have to have a plan how you get to that traction within months or weeks, and that's very similar to sport and to professional sport.
It really sounds that your professional career in sports also helped you to become a better entrepreneur here.
Yes, of course. Better, I don't know, but of course it's very, very similar. Maybe it's in me, therefore I was in the sport and that long in the sport, and maybe out of it I didn't want to work in big corporates too long or not. I mean, Emo Scout was okay. This was already bigger when I started there with 40, 50 people, but not the big corporate. It was also a culture of startup because they started 10 years before with 3 people.
You recently also became the president of the Swiss Ice Hockey Federation. I love that because I grew up in the Emmental where hockey is almost like a religion.
Cool.
So yes. What is next for you, professionally speaking?
Next is that I have my 60th anniversary birthday in next January.
Nice. So
looking forward, of course, I'm not having ambition to. So next is what we have with the ice hockey community. I wanna also have a community approach, a data approach. Yeah. Then we have the World Championship in Switzerland, which can help. Yeah. Because we had 1.5 million Swiss people before in front of the TV when we played the final end of May. So this is kind of the community. Yeah. If we could get the information of 300, 400, 500, 100,000. So I want to build up a hockey heart score. Nice. In the database, so we know how big is your hockey heart. Because you lived in Langnau, you played, you have whatever, a son who is playing once, so I don't know, just your hockey heart score. Yeah. And out of it to build up the community and of course to monetize the community because then we have the money in the federation to develop the sport into new whatever dimensions. But
amazing, a new long-term project.
So therefore I try to bring my expertise from the platform business and into so far federation, and all the federations they are struggling with money, they're struggling with innovation because out of money, and we're struggling with maybe people going into this transformation into the digital world, but we have to because we have a huge potential, and the potential is in the data in the hockey heart
Exactly.
of each person, which has that hockey heart, and that's ambition. Yes,
Really exciting.
Go
I love
there.
that.
Yes, with the right partners. Yes,
Definitely. To wrap up the episode today, I also want to ask you some rapid fire questions. I give you different options to choose from, or a simple question you have to answer in one sentence maximum.
Yes.
You ready?
Yeah.
Do you prefer to be an athlete or an entrepreneur?
An entrepreneur.
Buy or rent when it comes to housing?
Buy.
What does money mean to you?
It's not a driver. It's okay, but it's never a driver.
Yeah. Co-found a business or join it later as an external CEO?
Co-found, and now after 60, maybe at interim turnaround management for 3 to 6 months could also be an option.
Nice. Sounds intense, but also very fun at the same time.
Yeah, because you can bring in all the expertise and then maybe do a good job and then go out and have fun with your family or kids again. And then maybe you step in when there is an opportunity which is interesting.
Yeah. What's the best time of the day for you to make decisions?
Between 4:35 to 7 in the morning.
Oh, wow. That's very early.
Yes.
When do you get up?
That time.
Okay. Wow. Crazy. When do you go? When do you go to bed?
Between 10, almost 9:30 and
Okay.
10:30. Yes. So it's 6 to 7 hours. Yes. Yes.
What's your favorite ice hockey team?
Oh, sorry. The Swiss national team. Yes.
Of course. Very good answer. And if you had to choose handball or ice hockey?
Different questions, because I think my body would have been more perfect, or at least fit better to the ice hockey kind of sport. But I grew up in a family and in a village which is far away, or was far away from an ice rink. Therefore, it was handball. But finally, it's both. It's a great sport. It's a great team sport. It's a physical sport, a dynamic sport, and you need a lot of discipline, good guys around you, and good team spirit. Yeah.
I loved watching my first handball game live. It was so cool to see the intensity of the sport. Very close, actually, to hockey.
Definitely.
I love that.
Definitely, yes.
Amazing. Steph, thank you so much for being our guest today. All the best. Lots of success. And we're super excited to see the Hockey World Championship with you as a president here in Switzerland soon.
Thanks a lot. It was great fun here. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.